This is it, guys. The conclusion to the trilogy. The final chapter in my series of ranking the manufacturers. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, I'll put it up down here or up there, I don't know, it'll be somewhere. It shouldn't be very hard to find. I know I said there would be a spacer week probably in between this one and the last one, but what can I say? I got it done faster than expected. Now these videos do tend to get pretty long, at least for my standards, so I wanted to jump into it right away. We're going to kick it off with... A lot of people think GCI is the best wooden manufacturer, or at least traditional wooden manufacturer, and while I do agree that they're up there, they're still not the best. Their coasters have held up really well, at least compared to other wooden manufacturers. They don't have any inherently terrible rides. They have created bad ones, but none of them are terrible. And besides, most of their bad ones were their earliest creations. Even B&M's earliest creations were terrible, so you can't really judge a manufacturer off of that. The best way I can describe their rides is like being a pinball in a pinball machine, and I mean that in the best way possible. You're thrown around from one element to another element, crossing over where you just were, not knowing where you're going to go next. Their coasters are known as twister layouts, but I think a better word would be tangled. Everything is just wrapped around itself, and you can't even figure out where the ride is going unless you're tracing it. They also have great trains. The Millennium Flyer trains are one of the best trains on roller coasters. Their restraints can staple you, but they're pretty easy to hold up, so you can get some phenomenal airtime, and with the aggressive pace on this ride, the airtime can be truly out of this world. I feel like I've been saying a lot of positive stuff about GCI, and that's because there's just a lot of good stuff to say. But, like I said, they're not perfect. So let's talk about the stuff I don't like. These rides get pretty rough. Their older creations are obviously rough, but even some of their newer creations feel like they're on jagged wheels. Also, I don't like their twisted drops. I know that's like their signature thing, but like, why? You know why nobody talks about the first drops in the GCI? Because they're not good. Nobody likes a twisted drop. It's much better straight down. The last thing on my list of nitpicks is their variety. GCIs get really boring after a few of them. There's nothing unique about them. There's nothing that defines one of them for the rest. They have this twister formula that they just keep replicating over and over again. People say RMCs start to feel the same after a little while. No. This is what it looks like to all feel the same. But despite all my complaints, all my dumb nitpicks, I still really like GCI. Their coasters can start to feel pretty similar after a while, but it's a formula that is so good. It works really well that I don't really care that much. And while it does bug me a little bit, I still have to admit they make some really good stuff. So that's why they're at number 7. I was thinking of doing a video on why I like the Gravity Group more than GCI, so I'm going to save most of the comparisons for that video. To me, Gravity Group is like the Intamin of wooden coasters. I feel like most enthusiasts tend to overlook the Gravity Group, but they have a very solid collection of rides that makes them an elite manufacturer for me. Also, unlike GCI, they actually have variety in their models. They are truly one of the most innovative coaster manufacturers out there. They have shuttle coasters, family coasters, massive out and back hyper-light coasters, inverting coasters. If you want a wooden coaster built right up against a literal harbor, you ask Gravity Group. They'll do it. If you want a coaster that literally goes under the ground, you ask Gravity Group. They will build it for you. They're a fairly new company, but they've already built up one of the strongest collections of wooden coasters. Actually, they've built up one of the strongest collections of coasters in general. I really wish Six Flags and Cedar Fair would start working with the Gravity Group. There was that planned shuttle coaster for Dorney, but that rumor kind of disappeared off the face of the earth during the pandemic. Right now, the only major US company that's worked with them is Seaworld, and that was for Sesame Place, so that doesn't even count. Imagine if we got a full-scale, giant inverting Gravity Group coaster at a park like Seaworld San Diego. Wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. Their rides also tend to be very intense. Even their small family coasters are packed to the brim with airtime, to the point where Oscar's Wacky Taxi will strike fear into even the most experienced of enthusiasts. Gravity Group is crazy underrated. They're one of, if not the most innovative manufacturers out there, and their rides are incredibly intense and unique. They can be a little rough at times, but that goes for pretty much all wooden manufacturers. So if you can get over that, you'll find some of the best wooden coasters on the market. Mako makes some really high quality stuff, and that's probably the best way I could describe Mako. High quality. It was only recently until they started to push towards the major thrill market, and I think we can all be eternally grateful for that decision. Mako has made some really cool looking stuff. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten around to ride a lot of that really cool stuff, but for people who have, they seem to always rave about it. A lot of their concepts are just really interesting, where I just want to see more of it. I want to see more Mako hypers, or extreme spinners, or terrain launch coasters. That just sounds so cool. All of their ride models have so much potential that isn't being capitalized in the States because their stuff stuff is kind of expensive. As a result, a lot of enthusiasts don't talk too kindly about Mach because we've only seen bad or inexpensive stuff. But honestly, I think they're right up there with the best manufacturers. Most of the stuff that does end up being built though is fantastic. Time Traveler, DC Rivals, Helix, Flash, Lost Gravity, Icon. These are all highly regarded rides. To me, Mach feels like a lower ranked manufacturer that had a little more time to grow. Their quality is there, they've made some really good stuff, but like a lot of some of the lower manufacturers, they just haven't made enough of it. The thing that separates Mach from these manufacturers is simply the fact that they've had just a little more time to make it. Guys, Mach is really good, and like the Gravid Group, they're really underrated. Okay, I get it. I know a lot of people are going to be upset that I put S&S as high. Okay, chill. People really don't like S&S for some reason, but I love them. People say Intamin is the most innovative steel manufacturer. No, guys, S&S is, and it's not even close. And I didn't think this going into the project, but you just have to take a look at all of their ride models. You'll quickly realize how many different types of coasters they have and how crazy unique each and every one of them. I'm going to quickly run through all of their models and do a quick summary of each. This is going to be rapid fire, so get ready. Here we go. The L Loco model is a compact, thrilling coaster with inversions, sharp turns, and wacky inversions. Think a Wild Mouse mixed with a Eurofighter with a splash of Alan Schilke and RMC. The 4D Freespin is a crazy, easily clonable ride that offers a different and chaotic experience every single time. The Hypercoaster focuses on multiple inversions with some moments of airtime. They're big, weird looking, and chock full of random inversions. The best way to describe their 4D coasters is beautiful chaos. Their launch coasters deliver some of the most intense launches in the world and can have very interesting layouts after that. Their family inverts are tame rides for everyone to enjoy. Their bird coasters are weird. Why is there a bird? And finally, the Axis coaster looks like to be a revolutionary concept combining a little bit of everything. Launches, 4D free spinning, inversions, drops, everything that S&S does well. So now that I've given you a little bit of a rundown of everything that S&S builds, I hope that you can agree with me that they have a lot of unique and innovative rides. The thing is though, these rides still have to be good in order to be considered an elite manufacturer. So, are these rides any good? Yeah, guys, they're pretty good. EnergyLandia and Dododompa are considered Japan's finest. I personally love 4D free spins, and people who've ridden Steel Curtain always tend to like it. And come on, their Axis coasters just look incredible. Just like the Gravity Group and Mach, S&S is super underrated and people need to talk about them more. So now we've arrived at the Citizen Kane of coaster manufacturers. These three manufacturers are widely accepted as the best manufacturers by enthusiasts. However, the placement and reasoning varies greatly from person to person. These are almost interchangeable, but there are just a small few details that make my ranking the way that it is. So, our number 3 spot is... B&M is without a doubt the most popular and well-respected manufacturer. By the wise words of theme park crazy himself, you can never go wrong with a B&M Hyper. However, I'd have to say that you can never go wrong with any B&M. The rides are smooth, comfortable, fun, reliable, and capacity monsters. They also have a ton of different models. They have Hypers, Gigas, Flyers, Wings, Dives, and my personal favorite, their Inverts. These all have their pros and cons, but I genuinely believe that each and every one of them is a great model, especially the inverts. One of the things a lot of people overlook is their reliability. People always say how reliable B&M is, but never really appreciate it. If a park gets a B&M, you can almost guarantee it'll be up and running for your visit. Compare that to Intamin, or sometimes even RMC, where it feels like an achievement when some of their rides are open. B&M also has really good restraints. I have my problems with their vest restraints, but they're definitely better than some from other manufacturers. And their clamshells and traditional over-the-shoulder restraints are some of the best out there. The rides are also butter smooth, and while some may have a bit of a rattle here or there, I've never personally encountered it, so it doesn't detract from the manufacturer as a whole for me. I will say, the one thing that is keeping them from being higher is their uniqueness. While they do have a wide variety of models, the coasters within those models always kind of feel the same. Kinda sounds like another manufacturer we talked about today. But despite my little nitpicks, B&M is still one of my favorite manufacturers and they deserve all the attention that they get. So yes, this might be one of the biggest upsets on the list, but I don't have RMC at my number 1. And it kind of comes down to my issue with Mach. They just don't have a large enough portfolio yet. While yes, every single RMC creation is incredible and probably some of the highest quality stuff we have on the market, there really just aren't enough. Compare that to B&M, where every single one of their coasters is at the very least pretty good, but they have 100 more coasters than RMC. So yeah, even though everything RMC has pumped out up to this point has been fantastic, it still doesn't automatically make them the best. But they're still terrific, so let's talk about why. First of all, if you like weird elements, RMC is like a field day for you. RMC has made the outer bank turn, zero G stall, and step up underflip common coaster knowledge. Guys, these elements are literally so weird. They also have really strong airtime. Many of the best airtime moments you'll ever find in the coaster come from an RMC. They're willing to push the limits, which is another thing that I really like. They're making inverting wooden coasters, single rail coasters, and soon maybe a 500-foot coaster. These are all concepts that you would have laughed at before RMC came onto the scene, but now they're a reality, or just beyond our reach. Their coasters are also really well paced. They feel like they never lose any of their speed, except Wicked Cyclone. That's like a slow crawl to death at the end. A lot of people say RMCs all feel the same, but they really don't. I mean, yeah, they all have strong airtime and great inversions, but like, do you not want strong airtime and great inversions? My one issue with RMC that prevents them from being at the top spot is their ride length. They have some notoriously short rides like Goliath, Twisted Cyclone, Outlaw Run, and the Raptor clones. Now that does seem to be getting better over time, but it kind of circles back to my point about them needing to build more coasters. As they build more, they'll just naturally get better. And maybe in the future, they'll take my top spot. RMC is incredible, but there is one manufacturer that I like just a little bit more. So guys, we made it. The best of the best. This is the best manufacturer, and I know a lot of people agree with me. Intamin has made so many incredible coasters, it's truly unprecedented. They had a run in the early 2000s where they were basically King Midas in the sense that everything they touched became gold. They were just making smash hit after smash hit. Maverick, Skyrush, El Toro, Millennium Force, Top Thrill Dragster, Accelerator, Intimidator 305, Superman the Ride, just too many to count. If you like variety in coasters, then Intamin has your back. They have some of the most unique coasters on the market that stand out in their respective models. Every one of their coasters feels different, and I love that. Their rides are also pretty smooth. For a 14-year-old wooden coaster, El Toro is remarkably smooth. Also, I like how Intamin coasters are so different. Unlike other manufacturers like B&M that are generally all smooth and graceful, or RMC that are generally all aggressive, Intamin offers some super aggressive or more graceful rides for tamer guests, sometimes even in the same park. However, as much as I love them, they're still not perfect. Intamin has pretty bad restraints. They have made many people's least favorite restraints and can never seem to get it right. The only good restraint they've made that most people agree upon is the T-bar, but Skyrush, Superman the Ride, King Dakar, Stormrunner, and Cheetah Hunt, and many more are forever cursed with terrible restraints. But I can look past the restraints if their rides are fantastic, and lucky for Intamin, their rides are fantastic. Intamin made my number 1 and number 2 favorite coasters, so it would be silly of me not to put them in my number 1 spot. They are truly an amazing manufacturer, and I can't wait to see more of them. So that's it, guys. It's finally over. That's all I got in me. This is going to wrap up the video series on ranking my favorite coaster manufacturers. If you want to tell me why I'm wrong and why Togo is actually better than Intamin, then just tell me in the comments. Thank you guys for making it this far. As always, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. Been fun, guys, and I'll see you later.